For two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to episode 219 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. We are live every Friday night during the season on Facebook Live, Periscope, YouTube, Twitch, syndicated on all major podcast networks, and streaming in the Going for Two app for iOS and Android. I am here with my co-hosts tonight, and one of them is live from Vegas. Mr. Gerson, live from Vegas, man. What's up? How you doing?
Oh, man, just having a good time down here in good old Vegas. I'm going to go to the Raiders, this Ravens game. In case you haven't noticed, in the last, 3 or 4 years that we've done this, I'm a Raiders fan, sadly. But no, I got my Modelo's. This one's a special one. It's a Modelo Reserve. Has a little bit of tequila and a little bit of it's a beer or something like that. But cheers. I'm so glad we're back, baby. We're back.
All right, good shit. All right, also joining us tonight from his studio apartment, Tim Strobel. What's up, Tim?
Yes, sir. So good to be back. I can't tell you how excited I am for NFL to be back. Week 1. It's 2 days away. We're going to win all the money, boys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So typically at this point we do a weekly rewind. Obviously it's week 1. We got nothing to rewind. So I want to plug really quick one last time our DFS charity contest. You're running out of time. If you're not in there yet, make sure you get in there. Goingfor2.com/grinder21. It's a charity contest for Toys for Tots, and you can get in for free. And let me show the belt one last time. This is the belt you can win if you're in the contest. Again, goingfor2.com/grinder21. Get in there. I will send you the link to the GoFundMe page as well as the link to the DraftKings contest. So please, you got a couple days left. Get in that contest quickly. All right, let's just roll right into it, guys.
Let's talk quarterbacks.
All right, if you're new to the show, this is how we do it. We go position by position. We stop at the top tier. We move to the mid tier, and then a value tier, and we go by each position. We're at quarterback here, and I'll go to you first, Gerson, because you have a guy on your list that's not on either of mine or Tim's list there. So give me your thoughts on your guy there.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Josh Allen at 7,400. The guy's probably going to be the highest owned quarterback in this week. That's why I was shocked that he was on you guys' list. In my projection models and ownership, he's coming in at 9.4%, and that's 2.2% more than the next highest owned quarterback. And so I was kind of shocked, but he's going to face the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not really too scared of the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. We've actually seen this matchup last year with them, and he matched up. He did pretty well. With also Stephon Diggs, obviously he's an alpha. But they added Emmanuel Sanders. They got Gabriel Davis. He's a Konami code quarterback too, so he get that rushing upside with him. I mean, he's coming up as my highest projected quarterback this week at almost 27 points. So I'm all over him. 7,400. You're paying an elite price, but the ceiling is there, and the upside. Well, yeah, the floor is there too.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I didn't have Allen on my list. I only put one quarterback on my list. I was going to leave him to y'all to talk about mostly. Tim, I want to go to you on yours. You got a couple guys there on your list. Give me your thoughts on your quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm going to start right at the top with Patrick Mahomes. I think this sets up as such a good game for him. DraftKings priced him up, but I think that that's just going to make fewer people play him, make him an even better play. Stacking options are obvious. His ceiling is as good as anybody on the slate. And I think this is one of those opportunities where we have enough value to be able to put together a Chiefs stack and not have the rest of the lineup look terrible. So I'm going to start right off with Patrick Mahomes. I'll have a lot of exposure to him. And then the other guy, I'm going to wait till for you to talk about, actually.
All right, yeah. So that guy that I have on my list is Mr. Kyler Murray. I think this game has the second highest total on the slate. I think that Kansas City Browns game has a 53 or 54. I think this one is 53.5. So Kyler Murray, again, Konami code quarterback. Tennessee's defense was not very good last year. So I think, not only through the air, but obviously with his legs as well. At 8.1, you're getting a pretty good price. If you looked at his prices from last year, he was much more expensive early in the season. And up until his injury last year with the shoulder, he was actually the top QB in the league as far as fantasy goes. So I love me some Kyler Murray. And Tim, you had one more guy on your list. Of course, we got to talk about your boy. So give us your thoughts on Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers, man. This is it's a bit of a homer call, but I think it's also a really good play. New Orleans Saints are not a good defense. They're missing a lot of people that they need, and I think this is a game where they could easily get up on them and just, he's just continued to throw it. He's out to prove everybody wrong this year on a vendetta, and I think he's going to come straight out the gate. I think this could easily be a 4-touchdown game for Aaron Rodgers, and that, again, that's what you're looking for. Again, he's got great stacking options. I know the lines come down a little bit. I think it opened at 28 and it's down to 26.5, but that doesn't worry me at all. I think this game easily has 30-plus point potential, and that's what you're looking for when you're trying to take down a tournament.
Yeah, and I want to ask you really quick, because there's a narrative going around on Twitter, with the move from New Orleans to Jacksonville, that's Aaron Rodgers in that humidity. He's got a losing record in Florida. I don't know how much that actually means. Are you worried at all about the humidity in Florida for this game?
No, I think, unfortunately, he ran into the Bucs, and that's kind of what happened there. But I'm not worried about Aaron Rodgers. I think him and Devontae Adams have been clicking all camp. It was as if he never took any time off. I think they're going to pick up right where they left off and just stomp all over the Saints.
All right, good stuff. Let's move down into the mid-tier. And Gerson, I'm going to give you a chance to talk about your boy. I know you like this guy, and this is a guy I have on my list as well. But go ahead and talk about your boy.
Mr. Baker Mayfield. I mean, he's the most hated quarterback by Matt Sandow in the history of going for two. No, I'm just kidding. One thing I've learned since Patrick Mahomes came in this league, there's a correlation with elite quarterback, and Patrick Mahomes always brings out the best in each other's offense. We saw this offense last year face each other basically, and Baker Mayfield, to me, getting back Odell Beckham Jr. is, I think there's upside, and they're not going to be able. I mean, we know they got Nick Chubb, we know they got Kareem Hunt, but in this game environment, I think it's going to be an all-out passing game. Kind of remind me a lot like their game, but also remind me a lot of you guys remember when the Dallas Cowboys played the Cleveland Browns last year?
Yeah.
And that game went off for I don't know, it was the highest stat game basically. And I think this is an OBJ breakout game, and obviously, say breakout game with OBJ is kind of stupid because we know who he is, but I think it's a bounce back, And this offense, they're going to have to score points. This offense of the Kansas City Chiefs is much improved. The offensive line for Patrick Mahomes, and this defense for the Cleveland Browns. And one of the biggest things is that 53 over under. I mean, that total is incredible, and I'm going to target that game a lot. And there's a lot of different ways you can attack this game. And I think I'm going to go rather the field of Baker Mayfield because it's cheap, which is stacked, and bring it back with Tyreek or Kelsey.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think it'll be contrarian. I think a lot of people will play that Mahomes Kelsey or the Mahomes Tyreek Hill stack. I think if you play the other side, you play the Baker Mayfield, and you could put OBJ, you could put maybe Landry, potentially even put Kareem Hunt if you wanted to get really sneaky with it and put Kareem Hunt in there. So I do like that a lot. Tim, we'll go to you. What's some of your mid values?
Yeah, I won't talk about the guy that you have, so I'll talk about two guys that I think are in very similar situations this week, and that's Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan. Both of them are facing below average pass defenses. One is 6,300, the other one is 6,000. Both have excellent stacking options. I think they're in very similar spots also because both guys are pocket passers, right? You're not looking to get any rushing yards from them. You're probably not even going to get a sneak near the goal line, right? So you're hoping they're going to get that 300-yard bonus. They're going to get you, 3+ touchdowns. But I do think that they are guys that can still win you a tournament.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100% on that one.
I see we got Vegas in the background.
Yeah, we actually had a request from Alex. He wants Jason to make an appearance if he's back there. He wants him to get on camera at some point.
Well, apparently Jason said that he's gonna put me on the big screen halfway through the show. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be an appearance.
All right, good stuff. All right, so a couple of guys that I had in my mid-tier. I had Mayfield as well, but I also had two other guys we hadn't talked about yet. One of them is Jalen Hurts. I think this Philadelphia-Atlanta game is going to be a game that's going to be played with no defense on either side of the ball. And I think Hurts, he may not get the passing yards, but he definitely will get the running yards, I think. And I think that, again, a Konami code quarterback, rushing yards, you can't really go wrong with that. And the other one is the guy opposite of the guy I just mentioned as my top tier, Murray, Ryan Tannehill at 6.5. Again, second highest total on the slate. I think Tannehill is one of the most efficient quarterbacks. He can actually have less pass attempts than some quarterbacks, but still end up scoring more points because he's so efficient. So Tannehill at 6.5 is also another one that I really like. Let's move down into the value tier. What was that?
No, I agree with you. I love Tannehill. One of the biggest reasons why I love Tannehill is this week is, Mr. Julio!
Had to get it in.
You hear that? Jason in the background yelling Julio too.
Yeah.
I definitely love that game. I'm going to target that game a lot.
Good stuff. All right, let's move down into the value tier. And Tim, I'll go to you first this time. Give me some of your value quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm going to start with Mr. LASIK himself, Jameis Winston. He won the job. He finally got his eyes fixed. He can see his receivers now. Can finally beat out Taysom Hill for the job, and he gets to play a Packers team that I think he's going to have to play catch up on. I already said earlier I think that they're going to score early, and then the Saints are going to have to come from behind. I think Jameis is going to have to throw the ball 40 plus times. And he doesn't necessarily have the best core of receivers, but he obviously has a great pass catcher coming out of the backfield you can stack him with. So I love him at 5,200. I think he's definitely a guy that could 4 or 5x his salary. And unlike some of the guys we talked earlier, he's not necessarily a rushing threat, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ran one in near the goal line. So I think he has that option. I think Jameis is a great play at 5,200. I
like it. Go ahead and talk about the two rookies you got there, too, because neither me or Gerson have those guys on there.
Yeah, well, one of them's kind of a pivot, and I think Sam Darnold is going to be very popular this weekend. They're projected to win, I think, for good reason because he's 5,000. But I'm going to take the guy on the other side of that, and I'm going to take Zach Wilson. Reports have been really good about Zach Wilson coming out, his knowledge of the offense, his playbook, and he's played pretty well in preseason. I don't think the Panthers are at all a defense to be worried about. They're going to come after him, obviously, because he's a rookie. But unlike the Panthers, who actually have a running game, the Jets are going to have to throw. And so I think he's going to have to throw the ball a lot. And in that case, when you have that ability, he's going to have to be efficient. But he could have a 4-touchdown game, maybe throw a pick or two, and still end up as the best value quarterback. So that's my take on Zach Wilson. I like him.
Hey, there he is. Season is here. Let's enjoy DFS. Let's live the life. Tim, I love you, bro.
Love you too, Jason.
Hey, going for 2 podcasts. Let's go, man. This is the life. Enjoy football season. You guys take care.
You too, Jason.
There's a little guest appearance.
Yeah, so just my last take here is that Mac Jones, obviously he won the job for the Patriots, and he has 4,400. That's just so damn cheap. But unlike some of the other guys we've talked about, I don't necessarily think that he has the upside in tournaments. So my take on Mac Jones is that he's a cash game play only.
Yeah.
Right? If you think he's going to get you, say, 20 fantasy points, then he might end up being the best point per dollar play, and that extra 600 over Darnold or Wilson or somebody like Jameis Winston can end up fitting in that last guy that makes the difference. So that's really my only take on Mac Wilson, because you don't really have the stacking options or upside to play him in tournaments.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think he's
Mac
more.
Jones, not Mac Wilson.
I'm sorry, Mac Jones.
Yeah, he just combined both of them into one. That's nice.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
All right, Gerson, you got someone on your list there too that had a little bit of a rough preseason. Are you not worried about Mr. Joe Burrow?
No, I'm not too worried. I mean, I know that when you say rough preseason, I hope you know he only played 3 snaps. You know that, right?
I meant just the offseason in general. There was a lot of talk about how he was struggling in camp.
I thought you meant like the preseason game. I'm like, no, yeah, he had a rough offseason. But I believe in this game environment, he's going to be able to sling. He's going to have to sling it. There's no way that the Bengals are going to keep up. And that's the only way they're going to have to. That defense is horrible. They did nothing to improve it.
Yep.
And one thing we did last year was always attack the Bengals, the Atlanta Falcons, and a couple other teams. But those guys were basically like, it's like a pyramid. Who are they playing? Go, you know? And I feel like it's the same team this year. The Bengals did nothing to improve their team. And I think that Taylor is basically on the hot seat this year. If they don't do much and improve that much with a franchise quarterback, and he's coming back from a torn ACL. That does worry me. But at the same time, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd, some of the best values on this slate. So
Agreed.
You can really do a lot of different kind of rosters with the value that they're providing for a stack. And you bring it back on the opposite side. And, I mean, Minnesota has Jefferson and Thielen. I mean, you can do so much in this game. And that's the only reason why I like Joe Burrow. But to me, it's just that price pivot to so many other quarterbacks. It allows me to open up so much for my running back, my tight ends, and, I don't really pay up for defense. You guys know that.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I know we haven't got to receiver yet, but I was looking for T. Higgins because I love T. Higgins this week. And I kept scrolling. I kept getting to Boyd going like, T. Higgins can't be cheaper than Boyd. Where is T. Higgins at? And I kept scrolling, and all of a sudden I'm like, damn, T. Higgins is all the way down here. Like, that's just an awesome. I think he'll be one of the best ones to start off the season. I think Chase might overtake him eventually, but I think it'll be a big season for T. Higgins. So I love that stack this week. The only guy that I had that we haven't talked about yet, and he's not really super exciting, is Mr. Teddy Bridgewater. Last year we were all hyped about Drew Lock and his weapons. He had Sutton and he had Judy and he had Fant, and we were all excited about him. And then now Bridgewater got the job, and we're not as excited about it, and I don't know why. I mean, Bridgewater last year supported 3 top 25 wide receivers. So I think Bridgewater at 4.8. Granted, it's his price that I like as well. He's only $400 more than Mac Jones. He's cheaper than Zach Wilson. He's cheaper than Sam Darnold. So Bridgewater against that terrible Giants defense, I think, can also be a valuable play. I don't know if he's tournament worthy. He might be more of a cash game play with that cheap price tag, and he's safe. So I think Bridgewater will be my other value quarterback there, other than Darnold. I had Darnold as well on mine. Any other guys we hadn't talked about that we want to touch on real quick, or is that it?
Well, Sam Darnold, I think Sam Darnold's a hell of a value this week. I know a lot of people kind of out on him because of basically what he's done in his career. He hasn't really done much. The only person that's a bigger fan of Sam Darnold this week, other than me, is Colin Cowherd on the herd. I mean, the guy loves him and he hates Baker Mayfield. But I think in this offense, along with how cheap his stack is, I'm really looking for Sam Darnold, Harris Marshall, DJ Moore, and just those 2 guys basically. But CMC, yeah, you can stack him, but I don't like to stack my quarterback with my running back. But I think on the flip side, you can bring it back. And everybody knows this. If you know me very well, I hate the fucking narrative of revenge game. But it's the stupidest thing, but I don't care about revenge game. I just care about the opportunity. And one of the biggest things, the Jets were one of those other defense that we were always like, all right, who are the Jets playing? Boom.
Yep.
And you attack them. And
Yep.
they didn't do very much. I mean, they got a new head coach, but we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is you could say a revenge game, whatever, but Darnold knows how bad that Jets defense is. He knows how bad those corners are because he played against them every day. So I think that there is a little bit of knowledge against the offense, defense. Obviously, they changed up a little bit. Like you said, they changed up coaches and philosophy. But I think that there is going to be some knowledge that may play pivotal in this game. So I do like Darnold as well.
Agreed.
Did somebody say tight ends?
All right, if you're new to the show, we go quarterback, tight end. We make you wait for the money positions. But so tight ends is next in top tier guys. We got a couple guys in the top tier. And I'll go to you first, Tim, because you have the top guy on your list there.
I do. I think every tight end slate where Travis Kelce is on it starts and ends with Travis Kelce until otherwise. And the easy answer is that he owns Cleveland. But I think it's a lot of the way that they play defense and how they try and stop receivers and open up some of that stuff across the middle. As I mentioned earlier with Patrick Mahomes, they have a 30-point total. I think that he's basically, beardless or not, going to do whatever he wants to do against this Browns defense. So I think that there's going to be a lot of people that want to pay down at tight end this week, and I think there's good reason for that. So I think that people are going to see that 8,300 price tag and be like, I don't know if I can really afford Kelce this week. And I think it's a smash spot where otherwise you'd be locking him in.
Yeah, I think originally I was a little bit out on Kelce because of that price tag, but some value has opened up here that I think you can actually fit him in now. The prices were put out so early that things have changed, and now I think you can actually get him in there and stack him with Mahomes if you'd like. So Kelce is on my list now as well. Gerson, you got one guy in your top tier. Go ahead and talk about him.
Yeah, I have George Kittle. I mean, he's $2,000 cheaper than Travis Kelce, and I think he can provide not the same upside, but similar upside. I know a lot of people worry about Brandon Ayuk, the whole offense being healthy, Deebo Samuel, they brought in Trey Sermon, Raheem Mostert, and all those guys. But I still think George Kittle is going to be the focal point of that offense when it comes to pass catching. The guy was hurt last year, and he's healthy and ready to go. Playing the Detroit Lions, one of the teams that's not very good at defense, and I know Dan Campbell, is the new head coach, but he ain't going to be biting no kneecap when George Kittle is going all crazy on them. And I think the targets will still come with him. And at $2,000 cheaper than Travis Kelce can save me some money and use it elsewhere. I mean, elite tight end in the NFL, I think there's only 3 of them, which is Kittle, Kelce, and Waller, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had Kittle on my list as well because that value from 83 down to 63, and Kittle has a similar upside. And Jimmy Garoppolo, as much as we hate on him on this show, he tends to look for Kittle whenever he's got a chance.
Never.
Yeah, I think with Garoppolo starting, I think Kittle's a little bit of value up there. I think if we had Trey Lance starting, it might not be quite as good, or at least it'd be a little bit more of an unknown. But I think with Garoppolo starting, I think Kittle's locked into some of my lineups. All right, let's move into the mid-tier, and there's one guy that we all have in common, and it's already been mentioned once in the chat as well. Tim, I'll let you talk about him.
Okay. I think the chalk this week, I assume, is what you're talking about. Well, Gerson had the stats, so I thought you were going to go to Gerson there. But yeah, I think the chalk this week is going to be Kyle Pitts. And I think there's a lot of reason for that. But like you said, kind of the theme of this show, and we could have mentioned it earlier, is that the rookies are really underpriced, right? So DraftKings released the slate so early that a lot of the roles of these rookies was not, and still not, completely clear. And so rather than pricing them, they made the pricing soft, right? So that you try and play some of these rookies, take some more risks. But I think Kyle Pitt might be locked into the best role of any rookie, certainly any rookie tight end with Julio gone. So I think he's going to be easily the chalk in cash games. I think he's going to be heavily owned in tournaments. But I think that there are a couple of other solid pivots off of him that have a similar floor and possible upside to get off some of that ownership.
Yeah, the only other guy that I had on my list that wasn't Pitts, and I think Pitts, like you're right, he's going to be the highest owned, I think, tight end on the slate. I got Dallas Goedert, once again, going back to that Philadelphia-Atlanta game. I think if you're going to stack somebody with Jalen Hurts, you got to pick one of those tight ends. I think there's some arguments to be made for Devonta Smith, too, but I think Goddard has the most touchdown upside at 4.8. He's a little bit more expensive than Pitts, but I think that game's going to have a lot of players to play, and they're pretty cheap. And I think Goddard can definitely be stacked there. Is Gerson back yet? I want to go to Gerson.
Yeah, he's back.
All right. Gerson, I think you only had Pitts as your only tight end in the mid tier there, but go ahead and talk about him as well. And what do you think of Pitts? I know how much you love him in season long.
Kyle Pitts not a tight end. He's a wide receiver. He basically replaced Julio Jones. That's the bottom line. One of the things that I'm the most worried about, and I think maybe people don't see it, they're kind of blind about it, but Matt Ryan's not getting younger. He's only getting older. His arm strength can fall off. Yeah, I don't know if he's just going to keep producing or what. I mean, last year, I didn't really see that much upside with him. And I don't think I played him very much. And that's what worries me about Kyle Pitts. But target is keen. He's going to get those targets. There's Calvin Ridley and him. Mike Davis, I don't know. I'm not playing him. But, like, the way I put it, Kyle Pitts to me, 4,400 for a tight end that has upside. Kind of like Darren Waller, he could be this year's Darren Waller, He could easily, I think Jeff knows this, in Dynasty, this guy would value like a fucking Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like, no lie. Like, his price only got higher and higher and higher. And when you bought the dip, well, good job, because you didn't buy no dip. You fucking paid premium price for him. But, yeah.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I was trying to find the stat that I had written an article when I had Matt Ryan written up on there, and Matt Ryan splits, home and away. Obviously he's a much better quarterback at home, and his home openers. If you look at his last 3 home openers, he's been a beast. I think last year he had over 400 yards and a couple touchdowns. So I think Matt Ryan, can definitely put the points up on the board. And with Kyle Pitts, like you said, I think he's the number 2 option there. I think it's, obviously Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts, and then maybe Russell Gage is your number 3 there. So.
Yeah, he got 450 yards, 2 touchdowns for Seattle Seahawks, and then the year before that, well, a couple years before that, he just always tears it up in the front of in the beginning of the season.
Yep.
I'm just worried, man. Like, age matters. Only Jeff Lambert could keep it in his prime up to like 79 years old,
Yeah, exactly.
And Brady last night, right? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Brady.
Ageless wonder.
Brady's the only one I know that can be better at 40, whatever he's 43, 44 than he was at 25. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, let's
I
move.
watched Brett fall off really hard once he hit 40.
Yeah.
And Brady has just not had a similar drop off.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move down into the value tier here, guys.
Yeah.
Let's go down to Tim. I'll go to you first. You have 2 guys on your list there. One of them has a question mark on them. Give me your thoughts on your 2 value tight ends.
Well, before we move on to value, I do want to talk about the mid-range pivots, if I can, real quick.
Yep, sure.
So, so Kyle Pitts, like I said, is going to be heavily owned, and I think for good reason. But I think there are 2 similarly priced tight ends that make great tournament pivots, right? One is a guy that we played all year long last year. He was already a great play. Yep, Gerson knows. He was already a great play going in today, and then after day he got even better play, and that's Logan Thomas, right?
Yeah.
So we know Ryan Fitzpatrick has a proclivity to throw the ball to tight ends. We saw in the preseason whenever he needed a 3rd down, he was looking Logan Thomas's way. So I think that this sets up as a great spot. A lot of people are going to go right to Pitts. They're going to skip over Thomas at 4,600. I think he's got 6-7 targets is probably what I would be projecting for him, and they're going to go to him in the red zone. So with Curtis Samuel now on IR, I think he's an even better play. Obviously, there are going to be some more targets to go around, and I think, like I said, he's a great play. And then the other one's a bit of a homer call, and that's Robert Tonyan. I think that it's a situation, like I mentioned, where the Packers are looking at probably a close to 30-point total. I think they have some potential when they get down in the red zone to throw the ball to him. And I think nobody's going to play him again because of Kyle Pitts. So I can definitely see why you would play the other 2 first, but I do think that he makes an interesting pivot in that price range.
Yeah, that Tonyan call is really good because he's probably the number 2 passing option in the red zone, like you mentioned. I think Devontae Adams, Tonyan, that's basically the progression there. So I can see him catching a couple touchdowns. Gerson, what were you saying?
Damn, this is why I love this show, because Tim, Jeff, and we all love each other, but we don't give a shit. We'll disagree with each other, too. I don't really like Robert Tonyan because New Orleans is one of the best against the tight end position at defending it, and it's not going to change this year. I think Tonyan's a good tight end, but I think they're just going to beat him through the passing game, through Devontae Adams, and run the ball with Aaron Jones. One of the things to me is this. While Tanyan is that, but he's 4,200. Like, I get it. Like, he got target last year, but we were playing him when he was, like, cheap, you know?
Yeah.
And 4,200, you're going to – I love Logan Thomas, that's for sure. And that's a great pivot toward Kyle Pitts. But I just don't see the Tanyan call. And, again, this is why we love this show. We disagree to agree, and we move on.
Yep. Yeah.
You're hoping for a stat line like Gronk had last night. Otherwise, he's not really worth anything.
All right, let's move down into the value. And Gerson, you got only one guy in your value list. Go ahead and talk about this guy. This guy's super cheap, 2.5.
This guy was actually going to be my sit call until I realized I don't think I want to say a sit call because he's just going to be a good play for me. Mr. Tyler Croft. Who is he? Yeah, nobody knows because last year he played for the Buffalo Bills. This year he played for the the New York Jets. They let go of Herndon. I mean, they traded him away, and they said Tyler Croft is going to be your guy. During the preseason, Jeff knows this because he's a preseason guy, plays DFS. Actually, let me rephrase that. Jeff knows this because he's a degenerate and plays preseason.
yes, I do.
Tyler Croft got 2 touchdowns. I mean, this guy got a touchdown. He got targeted. And what do rookie quarterbacks do? They target those hot routes, those little short routes. Tyler Croft is going to get targeted. He's 2,500. 2,500 allows you to pay up for anything, basically. And if you go look at his stats line, he's done it before. I mean, he now what? So like against the New York Jets, that's sad because his own team last year he got 10 points. Versus, I mean, you see it one time he played the Dallas Cowboys, the Baltimore Ravens. He got 23 points, 9 times value at 2,600, 8 for 6, 53 yards, 2 touchdowns. So I mean, go back and look at his 2017 season. This guy can produce. He just needs an opportunity, and now he's getting there.
Yeah, and they traded away Herndon to Minnesota, so he has no competition really for targets. I think he, like you mentioned, he's a rookie quarterback there. He's going to look over the field, and I think Croft is going to benefit from a lot of those. And at 2.5, he don't got to do much. You know, he does a little bit for you, and he definitely will pay off value.
Yep.
Tim, you also had Croft on your list as well. Anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I mean, he pretty much hit on everything I was going to say, is that often tight end targets, especially in the red zone, are as much dependent on the quarterback as anything. So we've already seen that this quarterback likes to go to this tight end in the red zone. I don't see any reason for that to stop, particularly against the team that was terrible at defending the tight end last year.
Yep.
So I think everything lines up for that.
Good call. I had a couple of different ones that I'll mention really quick. I won't get into too much of the stats here, but Gerald Everett for Seattle, I think athletic tight end. You know, we don't think of Seattle as having great tight ends, but if you look at the tight end position over the last couple of years, if it was one tight end getting those targets and touchdowns, it would be a top 12 tight end. So I think at 3.4 with Everett, I think it's a good play against Indy. Tyler Conklin for the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, Irv Smith Jr. is out for the season. So Cincinnati at 2.9, I think he's also a good play. And Adam Troutman is my other one with the Saints. Jameis Winston's got the start, and we know how much he loves his tight ends. Did I miss something? Y'all are laughing. I don't know what. Did I say something stupid? I see y'all laughing over there.
No, he's raising his hand like he got a question.
Oh, because I'm sorry, I can't see y'all. So, what do you got, Gerson? Go ahead.
All right, guys. Every year I do it, right? Every year I do it. And if you didn't watch my tight end preview on Going for Two, the last 2 years I've called Darren Waller out. I've called Logan Thomas out. My Darren Waller, Logan Thomas of this year is Mr. Gerald Everett. This guy is going to be a beast. He's super athletic. They have the assistant coach from the Rams coming over. He basically said, I want Gerald Everett. He comes over here with Russell Wilson. They're going to pass the ball. This is finally, we're going to let Russ cook, but it's going to be a very balanced attack. And I love that Gerald Everett call. I'm just going to tell you guys, he's Mr. Waller, Thomas. I don't know what you call it every year, but Oh man, I just got goosebumps. You see that? I just got goosebumps. Let's go, Gerald Everett. Sorry, Jeff. Go on.
You're good. You're good. Someone in the chat said Adam Troutman is out, but I just looked it up and I can't find anything. Have y'all heard anything about Adam Troutman being out for this game? I know he had an injury in the preseason, but I thought it wasn't serious.
I wouldn't be shocked because he was diagnosed for 3 to 4 weeks. I'm not shocked. So to open that up, it's gonna be Mr. Juwan Johnson, I believe, or Thompson. Which one is it? Johnson or Thompson?
I think it's Thompson. It's Johnson. It is JJ. Yeah.
It said he was not listed on the injury report, so it seems like he's good to go.
All right. So there it is. Troutman is good to go. I think at 2.9, he's a good play as well. All right. Let's pay some bills here. Today's show is brought to you by ThriveFantasy.com. It's DFS for prop bets. Visit ThriveFantasy.com or get the app for iOS or Android. Use promo code Armchair and receive an instant match up to $50. Choose your 10 favorite prop bets to build your lineup and compete against the rest of the field for cash prizes. Again, sign up at ThriveFantasy.com or get the app for iOS or Android. Use our promo code Armchair and receive your instant match.
It's time for running backs. Running backs.
All right, we're at the money positions now, running back, and I'll go to you first, Tim. Give me some of your top tier running backs here.
Yeah, we used to make a joke last year that I made the joke with Travis Kelce, right? Every slate begins and ends with Christian McCaffrey. Oh, he's coming back, obviously off that injury last year, but he looks to be 100%, and he's at 9,500. Which at first, my first thought was, man, that seems like he's priced near the top. But then I realized, oh, wait, he's playing the Jets. And then he's just going to put up 200 all-purpose yards. So, again, with the Christian McCaffrey, you pay up for him because you get that high-end volume out of the passing game where he's also going to get, say, 12 to 15 touches on the ground. And he gets all of the red zone work. So there's it's not Mike Davis anymore. We're full CMC now, and he's ready to go.
Good stuff. All right, Gerson, I'll let you talk about your guy there. I had the same guy as you, but I'll let you talk about him.
To me, I love Christian McCaffrey, but sometimes in GPP it has to be different. I think a lot of people are going to go CMC, but you're not going to be very much different because this guy could be the next highest owned running back, which is Mr. Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, when healthy, he's a top 5 running back for sure. Locked him in and everything. Last year we saw him go on a tear from week 4 all to week 9. He had a 31-point game, a 19-point game, a 51-point game, a 42-point game. Good God, dude! That's elite of elite. That's CMC level. He's 9,100. It just to me, Dalvin Cook for $400 cheaper, and I see similar thing. Okay, I'll take it. And you're gonna get probably a lower ownership, but to me, the Cincinnati Bengals are trash. Their defense is not good. I don't believe they have Geno Atkins no more, right? Am I correct?
No.
So, that was their probably best run stopper, and that's sad, And with Dalvin Cook, they're going to try to control the tempo with this. Cincinnati's going to try to score a lot of points, which they probably could, but Dalvin Cook's going to be the focal point of this offense. I know people are going to say Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, but it still revolves around Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I agree. I had a stat here on Dalvin Cook. So he led the league last year in runs inside the 15-yard line, converting 10 of those runs for touchdowns. Only Cam Newton, Alvin Kamara had more touchdowns than Dalvin Cook in the under 15 yards. So obviously he gets the carries in that money zone down there. So I do love me some Dalvin Cook. Tim, you had one more guy in that top tier that we hadn't mentioned yet. Go ahead and talk about him.
I do. It's Alvin Kamara. I'm going to have him. He's probably going to be my highest owned running back this week. And I think that's probably just because he is the entire Saints offense at this point, right? Michael Thomas, Latavius Murray, not options anymore. They're going to have to find a way to score, and it's going to be through him. I think he's going to see as much volume as he's ever seen. Like I mentioned earlier, he gets a ton of work out of the backfield. Through the air, they're going to find. I'm not saying he's going to go for another one of those 6 touchdown games, but I'm going to have a ton because one way to get to the Packers is on the ground. They're going to find creative ways to get him the ball, particularly in the red zone. So he may not have a ton of rushing yards. He may not get you that 100-yard bonus, but I think you're going to get well over 100 all-purpose yards. and at least one, if not two, touchdowns.
Yeah, and I think he'll get a ton of targets there, too. I think everyone's worried about Jameis Winston not being a quote-unquote check-down quarterback, but Sean Payton designs plays for the running backs.
Yep.
They aren't check-downs. They're actually designed to go to Kamara, so I do think that he gets involved in the passing game as well.
Jameis Winston didn't have a running back.
Fair point. Yeah, he never had a running back to throw the ball to, so that's just a good point as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's move down into the mid-tier here. Gerson, go ahead and talk about one of your mid-tier guys.
Back to the Minnesota game. I mean, I couldn't believe my eye that Joe Mixon at the price he is. I was like, wow. And I understand the hate on him because he always gets hurt.
Uh-oh.
We may have just lost G. All right, Tim, we'll go to you. Give me some of your mid-tiers. And hopefully
He's back. Go ahead, Gerson.
Yeah, we lost you for a second, Gerson. You're back.
Jason's drunk calling me right now. It's Vegas, baby. I mean, I told you I was not going to miss this show out for the world. Like, I don't care. Jason could be, like, going to jail right now. Obviously, he wouldn't be calling me. But, no, Joe Mixon. With Giovanni Bernard out of the picture, I believe his workload would be close to a James Robinson workload, which was last year. 85% is what I think is his ceiling. But let's say he gets 70%. Joe Mixon at the price he's at $6,200 is a great price. I'm gonna have him. And the thing is, the field agree with me. It's 15% ownership. That's so high. I mean, to me, Joe Mixon at that price, it's almost like a lock in cash game, but also a good play in GPP.
All right, I like it. Tim, give me one of your mid-tiers.
Yeah, I love James Robinson. Gerson just mentioned him a little bit. Houston is going to be a team that we pick on all year long. They are tanking. They are making it known that they are tanking, and I don't think they have any issue going out and getting a giant L versus a division rival in their first game. So we're going to talk about a couple of options in the passing game, but I'm going to start with James Robinson. Obviously, Travis Etienne got hurt, so any of that pass game work he would have given up is going to basically all go to him. I'm not really worried about, Carlos Hyde behind him. I think he's still going to see, 80, 90% of the role he was going to have otherwise. And at 6,400 against Houston, he's just absolutely going to smash. So I love him. And then my other favorite play in that range is Antonio Gibson. This is a situation. Ron Rivera has already come out and said we want to use this guy like we use Christian McCaffrey. They're going to give him all the work. I'm not worried about what J.D. McKissick or any of that bullshit. It's going to be the Gibson show. He's going to get 20-plus touches, and at 5,900, he's just a smash value.
Yeah, I'm afraid to actually talk about Gibson because on my season-long show, we did a My Guys segment, and my guys were Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, Irv Smith Jr. So they're all out. My other one was Mr. Antonio Gibson, so I'm praying that he stays healthy, don't get hurt. He's the last one I have, so... but yeah, I love Gibson. I actually went on a show.
This is like your dynasty quarterbacks used to be.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, Gibson. If Gibson ended up the number one overall running back this year, I would not be surprised. Do I predict it's going to happen? No, but if he did, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that the way they're going to use him in this offense is going to be just like they did Christian McCaffrey. He's going to get a ton of usage. So yeah, I love that 5.9 price. The other guy I wanted to talk about real quick is Kareem Hunt. I mentioned him earlier. Kareem Hunt, obviously you can stack him with Baker Mayfield because he is part of that passing game, and I do think this is going to be a high-scoring game, obviously, and they'll put Hunt in there in those passing down situations. So at 5.5, I like Kareem Hunt as well. And then Gerson's putting a note here in the thing here, and he wants me to talk about Najee Harris. Or Gerson, do you want to talk about Najee Harris?
Oh, I love Najee Harris. Like, he's gonna be the bell cow and the Pittsburgh Steelers. These guys. Basically, we all knew if there's one pick you could go out in Vegas and made a bet that they were going to pick him, it was going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers picking Najee Harris. It was almost like it almost made too much fucking sense. And what happened? Well, Najee Harris. Najee Harris is the bell cow running back there now. We've seen this before in the past with James Conner, Richard Mendenhall, among other running backs. I mean, this is what Pittsburgh does. And when you go up and draft a running back in the first round, nowadays, if you draft a running back in the first round, they're going to get the workload. I mean, Travis Etienne, obviously, he tore his ACL. Or what was it, ACL? What was it?
Liz Frank injury, I believe.
Yeah, lymphatic injury. But so like Najee Harris, that price is ridiculous. I mean, for what the workload he's going to get at 6,300, and he's coming at almost 6.7% ownership. I think that ownership is too low for me. I honestly thought he would be like 14 to 13%, kind of the Joe Mixon level. And if he's going to go there, I'm going to be overweight on him. Against Buffalo, I think Najee Harris is a great pass catching running back too. People just think of him as a bruiser from Alabama, but Jeff knows this as we're both dynasty players. He can catch very well, and he's basically the guy that at 6,300. I wouldn't be shocked if Najee Harris by week 6, week 7, he's 85 to 8,300.
Yeah, Najee Harris. I was going to say the narrative on Twitter is everyone that's down on Najee Harris is, oh, the offensive line is terrible. But I'm like, he can catch too. So those checkdowns that Ben's going to hit those checkdowns to Najee Harris. He's going to catch a ton of passes out of the backfield. So I think at 6.3, he's a smash play for me. Buffalo's run defense wasn't great last year, so I think they were middle of the pack DVOA. So yeah, 6.3 for Najee Harris is definitely a good play for me. All right, let's move down into our value tier, and Gerson has nothing written in his value tier, so I'll let him kind of see who he wants to talk about. Tim, we'll go to you first.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you about something before we move down to the values. I want to ask you about Raheem Mostert, because this is a guy I've gone back and forth with all week. Because obviously the spot is a smash spot. They're favored to win heavy against the Lions. We know they like to lean on the run. Obviously, he has a rookie behind him, so it makes a lot of sense to me that in week 1 that they're going to feed him the rock a ton. But at 5,800, he's 100 less than Gibson. Was it 400 less than Mixon? So is he cheap enough to where you can take a chance on him, or is he in that range where he just doesn't get enough volume to pay the price? I
think he's cheap enough that you can use him. I think actually you could probably use both the running backs, and I got one of the other guy on my value tier. But Mostert looked really, really good in preseason. He looked explosive, and he's the kind of running back that doesn't need a whole lot of touches to pay off value. He can break it at any point. So I do like that Mostert call at 5,800. You definitely cannot pass that up. It'll be a good pivot off some of the other guys in that range. It'll be more popular.
Yeah, and then the only other note I'll make real quick is that Darius Leonard was a DNP in practice today. Definitely keep an eye on that. If Darius Leonard does not play, I actually really like Chris Carson, because I don't think anybody's going to play him because he's the same price as Antonio Gibson. So if we get to Sunday and you see Darius Leonard is out, I would definitely put a little Chris Carson in my lineups.
All right. Gerson's got someone penciled in now for his value. Give me your value tier there, Gerson.
Hey, guys, I don't know what Jeff was talking about. It was there the whole time. He's just getting old, He's starting to get that little, when you get old and you lose your vision? Next thing we know, Jeff is going to shrink in height, too. Even on the first fucking time I met Jeff, I was like, this motherfucker looks a lot taller than what he looked in real life. Okay. But I love you, Jeff. But yes, you're losing your sight. Chase Edmonds, I think in this game environment, I'm not a Chase Edmonds fan at all. Like, you guys, Jeff, have heard my rant about the Arizona Cardinals. I like James Conner over Chase Edmonds, but I think in this game environment, it makes more sense for Chase Edmonds, since Chase Edmonds is a much better pass-catching running back than James Conner. And in this game environment, it's going to be a high-scoring environment to me. I mean, when you have two offenses like that, I think it's over now. It's up to 50, right? Like almost 50 point total.
Yeah,
probably more. But I think Chase Edmonds is going to be neither. Yeah. So with him there, he's going to need to catch a lot of balls. He can do that, and I just want to target him. He's 4,600. That is so cheap, and 4,600 coming in at 7.1% ownership. So people do want to play him. But, again, this is against the Tennessee Titans. A defense that's not good at all. This defense sucks. It's going to be one of those defense we're probably going to want to target week in and week out, because they're basically Julio Jones on that team is basically the same situation.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. The only guy that I had actually, I have two guys that I want to talk about in the value tier. One of them's a little bit – I almost made him my sick call because I know it's just not going to be a popular play. But Phillip Lindsay, for the Houston Texans team that we all make fun of, they have literally zero talent really across the whole offense. But you look at that running back group, and you got Mark Ingram, you got a bunch of older guys. Philip Lindsay's only in his 4th year. He still has the Jets to get outside at 4.7. I might have some exposure to Philip Lindsay. Like I said, I almost made him my sit call because I don't think he'll be very popular, but I can definitely see Lindsay catching a ton of passes out of the backfield. The other guy that I have is, I mentioned earlier, Trey Sermon. I think if the Niners get up big on the Lions, I think Sermon's their closer. He's the big bruiser. They're going to put him in there and just salt the game away, so he can get a lot of points in that 4th quarter, maybe even a touchdown, maybe even 2 touchdowns. But I do think Sermon at 4.5 is also another one that could be a good value tier as well. Tim, you didn't have anybody written down for your values. Is there anybody you think you like, or are you pretty much out on all the value guys?
No, I think we talked about all the guys I'll have high exposure to.
All right.
And now, wide receivers.
All right, Tim, we're on you already, so I'll go ahead and go to you here for your receivers. You got a whole shit ton of list of receivers.
I do.
Here.
I basically have all the receivers, so we're going to try and skip around here. But I'm going to start right at the top with my homer call, Devontae Adams. This guy was just money all last year. Chances are, if you had him, you probably won or at least were competitive in your year-long fantasy leagues. On a per-game basis, he was far and away the best wide receiver. And at 8,300, to me, he actually felt like he was too cheap. He's the same price as Travis Kelce, but I think he has an even higher ceiling than he does. And I am not at all scared about Marshawn Lattimore. Basically, Aaron Rodgers came back with Devontae Adams, and it was like they never left. So I think that, like I said, I've said multiple times on the show, I think the Packers have 30-plus point upside in this game against New Orleans. I'm not at all worried about him going to Florida. I think Devontae Adams could get over 100 yards, get that bonus, and get a couple touchdowns and be one of those guys you got to have. We talked earlier about lineup construction when we were talking about running backs. I think I'm going to have Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and Devontae Adams, 2 of those 3 guys in most of my lineups this weekend.
I like it. Gerson, who do you got for your top tier receiver?
I just want to say that Tim had said it's a homer call when you say Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Robert Tonyan. I'm just waiting for Tim to say, you know what, guys? I'm going all in. I'm also going to put Aaron Jones. No, I'm just kidding, Tim. You know I love you, buddy. But no, I mean that's a good call. I mean, you can never go wrong with Devontae Adams. I think he's probably going to lead the league in touchdowns this year. It's like I said in the offseason, I said this is the last dance, even though they never won a championship together. Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, you can put that on Instagram, but that shit don't work, But at the same time, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to sling it this year. This is his last year with Green Bay. As much as Tim doesn't want to cry right now on this show, he knows this is it. This is the last dance. And look at him. He just wants to cry. He's shaking his head no, but he really knows what I'm talking about. He's going to cry. No, I'm just kidding. No, great call. I think I'm going to go with my top wide receiver this week. It's Mr. DeAndre Hopkins, 7,800 against the Tennessee Titans. I feel like I've been talking about this game a lot, and there's a reason for it. I think this game could be one of the highest scoring games this week. And I wouldn't be shocked if I saw DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray stack. I mean, Konami Code quarterback, and then you go back. Oh, actually, never mind. I'll talk about that in the stack. Sorry. But to me, DeAndre Hopkins, he's proven it year in, year out. I mean, he's just an alpha wide receiver. And if you can name me the cornerback that played for the Tennessee Titans, I'll tell you what, I will give you a fucking sticker on your forehead.
Yeah, they're not good. So I had AJ Brown from that game as well at 7.1. Like we mentioned already, this game's got a high total. This is going to be a game that I have tons of exposure to. So AJB is my guy. And Tim, I'll go back to you because you have pretty much every other guy on your list.
Yeah, I'm just going to mention 2 guys really quick. First guy is Tyreek Hill. He gets Denzel Ward this weekend. He proved in the playoffs Denzel Ward cannot hold him. They're going to have to bracket Tyreek Hill or he could have one of those 200-yard games. Calvin Ridley is another great play, particularly if you're going to do Jalen Hurts stacks and you're looking for a bring-back candidate that's not Kyle Pitts. When Julio was out last year, he averaged well over 10 targets. I think that's going to continue right along with this year. Philadelphia doesn't have anybody that can cover him. He's a great route runner. He's going to pay off that 7,900. And like Gerson said, I think a lot of people are going to look at Adams, at Hopkins, and they may skip over Ridley. So I'm going to go there. And then I'm going to go against Gerson, what he said earlier. I am actually huge on the Vikings pass catchers this weekend. It actually makes me vomit in my mouth to say. But seriously, the Cincinnati Bengals might have the worst group of cornerbacks I have ever seen. And that's including the Jets. That's including the Tennessee Titans. I think their best corner basically is out. I think it was Trey Waynes is out. Right,
their best and the worst.
Yeah,
right. The best of their terrible corners is also out. So it's like Chidobe Awuzie, who's the throwaway from Dallas, Mike Hilton, the former slot guy from the Steelers. Like, it's just so bad. I think Jefferson and Thielen are going to absolutely eat this weekend. So I'm going to be big on both those guys.
Let me ask you real quick, Tim. Would you stack both of those guys with Kirk Cousins in the lineup, or you just want one or the other?
I would. No, I think if I'm going for Cousins, if he's going to score enough to where he can actually win you a GPP, it's because he scored, say, 4 touchdowns, and basically both these guys paid off. I could see you doing one with, say, a Conklin or something like that, but I think that Thielen tends to be the guy that he looks for in the red zone, which gives him that upside with the touchdowns, whereas Jordan Jefferson could easily get over that 100-yard bonus, say 10 catches, 125, and pay off without even getting into the box.
Yeah, and I asked that question for a particular reason because I actually wrote an article on this over the summer. If you look at Thielen and Jefferson's big games last year, they all happened in the same game. It wasn't like when one was out, the other one blew up. If you look at their I think there's 3 big games from each of them, and in those games they happen in the same game. So I think you can definitely play both of them and be just fine with it. All right, let's move down into the mid-tier, Gerson. What you got for your mid-tier receivers?
To me, everybody knows that at wide receiver, I usually just stack on stack, and just do value wide receivers. So, like, for mid-tier, to me, if you're not stacking, there's a few guys that really interest me. To me, mid-tier is usually the 5,600, like the under 6,000 to like about 4,500. And one guy I just keep looking at over and over and over is T. Higgins. Yeah. 4,700. I could not believe, like Jeff said it early on. I kept looking for T. Higgins, and guess what? I didn't keep looking. I just stopped. I'm like, T. Higgins to me is the alpha wide receiver in that offense right now. While people say, "Oh, Joe Burrow played with Jamar Chase," well, guess what? He played with T. Higgins in the NFL.
Yeah.
In the NFL. So, like, what's your fucking point, dude? Like, we get it. You're trying to make, like, a connection to let's go back to college football. Apparently, this guy says, I'm just trying to catch a football without fucking thinking it has a striped white line. Like, dude, like, either this guy going to lose and all, or I don't know what it is. But T. Higgins is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite value wide receiver overall. But what do you know? That's the first time I said overall on this show, guys.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
No, T. Higgins. He's 16. His ownership coming up real high though, at 16%. So if you're gonna play him, it's gonna be for a good reason against Minnesota. And we know that's another off defense we target for cornerback.
Yep.
Their cornerbacks are horrific.
Yep.
So, yep.
All right,
that's my guy.
Tim, you got a shit ton of mid tier here. See if you can reel through a couple of those guys.
Yeah, we didn't talk about this guy as an upper tier guy, but I want to touch on him real quick, and that's Keenan Allen. He's got a massive advantage this weekend. I think he's going to see a lot of Will Fuller, and I think he's going to absolutely smash on him. Gerson talked earlier about the revenge narrative. I usually avoid revenge narrative, but I love this one, and that's Robbie Anderson. We talked about Sam Darnold, Robbie Anderson playing against the Jets. He knows he can play against these. I
didn't think about that. You're right. Holy shit.
Yeah, so he knows exactly. Again, he played against these corners every day in camp, every day in the season. He knows he can beat these guys. I wouldn't be surprised if he catches a long touchdown. So I like him as a GPP option. You guys talked about T. Higgins. I think he's an absolute smash play this weekend. And I'm going to go back to Jeff's team. I'm going to go with Debo. I think that I know he's everybody's going to be looking.
You're going like that. How dare you?
Yeah, it's going to be the Debo show. I just feel like that he is the perfect weapon to pick on the Lions defense. So I think a lot of people are going to look at Kittle. They're going to look at Brandon Ayuk. But for me, it's Debo, and I'm going to play a lot of Debo this weekend.
I love it. The only guy that I want to mention that's in the mid-tier, and it's more about the quarterback that's with him, and that's Mr. Terry McLaurin. Fitzpatrick he doesn't care. He doesn't care who's defending you. If he likes you, he's throwing the ball to you. We've seen it in the past. He'll pepper you with targets. He's like the Jameis Winston, just 10 years older. But Terry McLaurin at 6.4 is definitely on my radar. I live here in Washington. I hear all the hype, of the off-season hype of Terry McLaurin and how much he loves Fitzpatrick. So at 6.4, Terry McLaurin is someone that I'm definitely going to have in some of my lineups there as a pivot in some of my tournament plays. Anybody else before we move to the values?
Yeah, this guy's borderline value. We both had him on our list, Jeff, and that's Corey Davis. Corey Davis seems to be the number one for Zach Wilson. Obviously he came over from Tennessee. He's going to, with Jamison Crowder out, which we're going to talk about a value that opened up as a result. But I think that may end up just funneling more targets toward Corey Davis. I think we could be talking about a guy that could have a realistic 8 to 10 target projection for 4,900, and that's tough to say. So again, you're going to run. You can't run against Carolina. You're going to throw against them. So at 4,900, I think he's a great option. And people are going to look at T. Higgins and maybe another guy we're going to talk about, and they might skip over Corey Davis.
Yeah, good call. All right, moving down into the values. There is one guy I just want to mention at the top. He's probably the chalk of the chalk right now, and I'm just going to mention his name, and I'm going to have Tim talk about it because he's got an interesting note next to his name. That's Marcus Callaway. Obviously, he's the number one in New Orleans now because Traquan Smith was hurt all offseason, and Michael Thomas is not going to play. And everyone knows at 3.4, he's the chalk of the chalk. And I think the knock on him is people thought that the cornerback there was going to shadow, but you have a note there, Tim, saying that he won't shadow. So give me your thoughts on him.
Yeah, I just think toward the end of last year, we saw that Jair Alexander was not really shadowing, even when teams had a clear number one. And as good as Callaway is, or any connection he may have with Jameis, I don't think he's by any means a clear number one. So I don't think that there's any reason that they're going to shadow him across the field. If New Orleans is smart, they're going to move him around. They're going to get him as a little exposure to Jair as possible. So I still think that, when he's lined up against him, it's probably not a good option. But I'll give you an example. Last night, Trayvon Diggs traveled with Mike Evans, right? Yep. It was like 80% of snaps he was on Mike Evans. And that's why you saw probably the worst night Mike Evans is going to have all year. I don't expect that that's going to happen in this scenario. We do have a few shadow matchups this weekend. I would be really surprised if Jair ends up shadowing Callaway.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's any fear of Callaway. I mean, is good. I think he has one good game to his name, so I don't think they would change their defense just for Callaway, and I agree there 100%. Gerson, who do you have in your value tier for wide receivers?
I don't mind the Callaway call, but I just think there's so many good pivots for lower ownership. That's my only fear. And everybody knows this. I eat chalk when I have to eat chalk, but I don't think I have to eat that chalk this week. It might bite me in the ass, but I will have Callaway in my 150. I'm not going to ruin who I have in my arena. Because, I'm number one. No.
You started on that arena now.
No, I mean, one of the guys that I just keep mentioning over and over and over and over is Mr. Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore with Jamison Crowder news out. He's out. He is basically the minimum wide receiver price that you can have, $3,000. This guy tore it up, and Jeff knows this. He tore it up in a training camp, and then he got a little nagging injury. His preseason wasn't amazing, but we saw tape of Elijah Moore and Zach Wilson connecting, and I think it's going to happen again. In this Carolina defense, it's just, to me, I'm looking for value. 3,000. Elijah Moore, he's coming in at 4.3% from the pivot of Mr. Marcus Callaway at 18.3%. Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but if I'm pivoting, I'm going to pivot to Elijah Moore rather than Marcus Callaway.
Yeah, I like that.
Hey, Gerson, real quick, what percentage do you have Marvin Jones at?
I like.
Because I think he's the other guy right there in that range.
I don't disagree with you there. That's for sure 100% of my other pivot. It's Marvin Jones against the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
Texans at 3,600. His percentage is 6.8. So you could go either way. Like I said, Marcus Callaway is the shot.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's in love with him because of what he did in the preseason. I think he had like a hell of a game with Jameis Winston.
Crazy
Everybody's gonna be
catch.
like, "Oh my god, he fucking got like 102 yards on 3 receptions and a touchdown, something like that, right, Jeff?"
Yep, and he had a crazy catch that was all over Twitter too. Some crazy catch that he made.
Yeah, and so you can follow the crowd, but we've seen this before. You guys remember Jermaine? You guys remember Jermaine Curse?
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Mr. 20% ownership didn't get one fucking catch.
No points. Yeah, he got 0 points for you. Tim.
Yeah, my note on this one is that Houston is just so bad.
Yeah.
Right? Like, even if you're worried that occasionally Callaway might see a good corner, Marvin Jones is seeing a bad corner every snap he's on the field, right?
Exactly.
So that's the thing there. One other guy I want to mention real quick because I didn't see him on your list, Jeff, is Jalen Waddle. This is obviously a guy I know Gerson was huge on coming out of school. Tua obviously has that connection. And with Will Fuller out for this game, he's going to see more action than he normally would. I think he's in that same 3,600 price range with Marvin Jones, Marquez Callaway, where I don't know if he'll be as popular as those guys, so he may work as a good pivot. I didn't mention this earlier, but obviously Stephon Gilmore is on PUP, so they will not have him for the Patriots. Not that he probably would have been on Waddle anyway, but that just takes another option and maybe shifts the third or fourth corner onto Waddle.
Yeah, good call.
I want to mention one guy that I'm really high on. I've been high on him in the preseason. I've been high on like off-season rookie draft. I've been high on him basically all season. It's Mr. Terrace Marshall Jr. This guy, if it wasn't for his injury history, he probably would have been a first-round pick. But Jeff knows this. I mean, there was some injury concern with him because it ran in his family. His brother got an injury. I don't know how fucking stupid you got to be. Like, dude, don't be well, Jason, my brother, he has a bad herniated disc back, so therefore I'm gonna have the same thing. It runs in my fucking family. Dude, everybody deals with injury, but I'm not gonna compare that into my scouting. Terrace Marshall Jr. $3,000.
Yep.
$3,000.
Super cheap
with Sam Darnold, and they did very good in the preseason. I believe he got an 85-yard game with 3 receptions. And I think against the New York Jets at 3,000, I'm going to take that risk. And the best part is his ownership. He's at 1.2% ownership.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so I got 2 guys that I want to mention really quick here because, surprise, we're running long as usual. But it's all good. It's the first week, so we can do that.
Whoa. First off, the last show me and Tim had, we did 1 hour. And all of a sudden I see the pattern. Jeff is in here. Tim's in here. I'm in here.
And now we're running long.
One missing piece.
Yeah, so it's all my fault. Got it. All right, so the 2 guys I want to mention first, Michael Pittman Jr. Obviously, T.Y. Hilton's not going to play in this game. He becomes the de facto number 1 receiver there for, we assume, Carson Wentz will be the quarterback. So I think at 4.1, I think Pittman Jr. is definitely a play for me. And then Gabe Davis for the Bills. The knock on him is everyone's like, oh, he's the number 4 receiver in that offense. He's the number 4 receiver. Well, he was last year too. And up until the very last game of the season, he was leading that team in receptions for touchdowns. So I think he's going to be all right. I think at 3.4, I think you can definitely play Gabe Davis versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then also I think Sanders might be a little banged up too, so he may not play. So Davis can take some of his snaps as well. So yeah, so Gabe Davis at 3.4 is my other value guy. All right,
Sanders hurt?
He's banged up. He's questionable. I don't know if he's going to play or not. They haven't said if he's going to play or not. So it's a potential that he might not play. And if he doesn't play, I think Gabe Davis is definitely one of my top plays.
Yeah,
that's a beautiful call, Jeff. Good job.
Yeah, he was limited all week.
All right, so let's get down to the defenses.
Defense.
So for fans of for fans of the show, we know that Tim is like the defense whisperer. He seems to always nail the defenses. So we'll start with you, Tim. Give me some of your defenses.
I just really love that drop. That's really what it is. I just love the defense. Now, you're right. For defense, I'm generally looking to pay down. I want to pay up at those other positions. So I'm looking for a cheap defense that can get me maybe 10, 12 points and more than pay off their salary, because defensive scoring is so random. Unless you're going to pay all the way up for like San Francisco 49ers, I think you're looking to pay down. So I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. I will probably have 40% of two defenses this week. The Buffalo Bills at 2.5K and the Atlanta Falcons at min price.
Yeah.
I think both of these teams, they're both favored. They're both at home, and they're both playing turnover-prone quarterbacks. So even though the defenses themselves, I guess the Bills is obviously a much better defense than the Falcons, but I think that this is going to be a situation where you get a couple sacks, maybe a turnover, and they're going to more than pay off their price. So those are the guys I'm going to be heavily exposed to so that I can pay up elsewhere.
I like it. Gerson, what you got for your defenses?
That was it. Falcons and Bills.
Same one.
Those are two defense. I don't pay up for defense. People know that. Like, if I pay up for defense, it's because I know they're going to get like fucking 30-point upside. And I don't see our team defense is going to get 30-point upside this week. And those two defense allows me to pay up for the elite running back, allows me to pay up for my elite stack and whatnot. So I love that call.
Yep, agreed. The only two that I had to mention here, the Panthers have been a popular ad in season long because they're playing the Jets, a rookie quarterback. So Panthers are up there. They're 3.6, a little bit too expensive for me, but I'll put them on the list. And then the Broncos. I think the Broncos playing the Giants at 3.3. That defense is healthy. They add some pieces in the offseason. You know, we saw in the past how the Broncos defense could be really good. You got Daniel Jones as the quarterback there in New York, so he can turn the ball over for sure. So Broncos would be my other one at 3.3. And that's pretty. I'm on the same guys that you are the same defenses that y'all are as well. But those two, I think, are just, if you want to be a little bit different, you can go with those ones.
Yeah, I just want to add one more for GPP that I'm going to have some exposure to, and that's going to be the Vikings. This actually hurts me to say, but it's a combination of a couple factors. One, I think the Vikings defense is going to be better this year. I think that they're going to be able to put more pressure on the quarterback. And the biggest reason is I think their defensive line versus offensive line matchup this week is huge. The Bengals, we know, already had one of the worst offensive lines in the league. And then they went out and obviously they drafted Jamar Chase and then took a couple of other guys who I think may be good later in the season, but they're going to really struggle week one. So if this is a situation where the Vikings get up early, they're running Dalvin Cook, they're grinding clock, and Joe Burrow is having to drop back and throw 40 times, throw in a few sacks, maybe a turnover or two, and I think the Vikings I could see a scenario where they end up being the number one scoring defense on the week. So I'm not going to advocate them playing in cash games. I'm not going to have a ton of exposure, probably, maybe 15, 20% on them in my tournament allocations. But I do think they do have upside that those others do not.
All right, good stuff.
Going4two.com's weekly stack report.
All right, let's get to our stack report. And Gerson doesn't have one listed there, so we'll have him go first, so we won't take his. So Gerson, what's your stack of the week?
I think the thing is, like, with quarterback, you guys didn't talk about him, but no, you did talk about him, but I didn't talk about him. It's Kyler Murray. Stack him with DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore, and then bring it back with one of the Titans wide receivers. I mean, if you can find a way to get it, it'll be good. I think I'd rather go Julio Jones. Everybody knows that. But to me, I don't know, man. Like, Ronald Moore at that price, I can fit Julio Jones or A.J. Brown and try to get some value at running back, some value. You have Tyler Kroft. Tyler Kroft allows you to open up
a lot.
Much.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot. So it can work. I mean, I know the price is pretty pricey. But, I mean, that game, and I think next week when we tune in, we're going to be like, wow, this is what they paid up for Julio. They knew their defense was going to suck. And we're going to come back every week and say, all right, let's stack this game.
Yep, agreed. Tim, who do you got for your stack?
Well, you asked me earlier in the show if I would put Thielen and Jefferson in the same lineup, so the only natural would be with my stack, man. I'm going to say Kirk Cousins is just going to go crazy against that Bengals defense. He's going to throw, say, 3 touchdowns, well over 300 yards. And Cousins, Thielen, Jefferson, and bringing it back with Higgins is going to be my stack.
All right. And my stack will be going back to that Atlanta-Philly game I've been talking about. Matt Ryan with Pitts and Ridley. I don't mind having both of those guys in there. And then Devonta Smith or Goddard, depending on how I'm feeling that day, will be my bring back on that one. So yeah, depends on how I'm feeling.
Whichever way it lands,
exactly. It's a coin flip for sure. All right, let's get to the most popular segment of our show.
The sick call of the week.
All right, sick call of the week is our. Let's make sure we set this up. I know Gerson hates this because he's afraid that we're giving these plays out and everyone's gonna go out and have high exposure. These are guys that are shot in the darks. These are your swing for the fence guys. These ones you want to have maybe in 1 or 2 lineups. They're more of just a fun thing that we do at the end of the show. So Gerson, give us your sick call of the week.
First off, let's start this all over. How about you say how we got about this topic? How it's the first week of the season. Get it straight.
All right,
Get
all
your
right.
shit together.
All right, man. I will tell the story. I didn't know if you wanted me to tell the story or not. So it's been what? It's been 3 years now, I think, since we did that show. So we had a show where Gerson was sick. He literally had the flu on the show. He was coughing and the whole nine. So at the end of the show, we're picking our defenses. And at this point, the Saints defense was absolutely terrible. They were like historically bad for the last couple of years. And Gerson picked the Saints as his defense. And me and Tim clowned him on the show, said there's no way the Saints defense is going to be any good. And they went out and were the number one defense that week. And since have been a good defense. But Gerson called it while he was sick. So now we call it the sick call of the week. We pick either a defense or a player that sort of no one's looking at that we think can have that out of the ordinary type game, a swing for the fence type play. I think, Tim, last week you had, or last year you had DeAndre Swift, and I believe he was in the Millie Maker lineup, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I had two. I had Philip Lindsay when he went against the Packers. That was a Millie Maker winner. And then DeAndre Swift, the one week he had the Millie Maker. I won him too. So this week, I'm going to end the show. I started the show with the homer call. I'm going to end the show with the homer call. Marquez Valdez-Scantling as my sick call. Gerson mentioned earlier about how you attack the Saints through the air. I think that I have a good amount of exposure to MVS. A lot of news out of camp is that he took a big step forward this year. He has a much better connection with Aaron Rodgers. I think we're probably going to see less Allen Lazard this year and probably more MVS. So as long as he can get over his drop issues, we know he has the potential to get those long touchdowns. If he has, say, 1 or 2 of those long touchdowns, obviously he'll smash his value. So the main thing is that at 3,700, we mentioned people will be playing, Callaway. People will be playing Marvin Jones, maybe even Jalen Waddle more than they're going to be playing MVS. So I think it's both an ownership play and an upside play due to the game environment.
Yeah, I like that play because you're right. I mean, we've seen Rodgers trust him a few times and he's dropped it. But if he fixed those drop issues, he could definitely be a smash play for sure.
Yep.
Gerson, who you got for your sick call?
Hey, Tim, I'm just letting you know, when you need a loan for your personal bank, since you're going all in on fucking homer calls, Green Bay, I'm pretty sure you're going to build a backyard Lambo leap in your backyard at your new home, and you're going to jump into it and be like, homer call!
That's right.
Hey, bro, I'm here for you. But, my sick call of the week is Javonte Williams, running back for the Denver Broncos. I know everybody knows Melvin Gordon's the guy, just blah, 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 blah. I don't really think he is. I think Javonte Williams at 4,000, that price is too cheap. He's coming in at 2% ownership against the New York Giants. To me, when I look at Javonte Williams, I think he's going to be one of those running backs that later on in the season, we're going to look back and be like, why did we not see this fast enough? Why didn't we just see that this guy's the guy? Kind of like what Antonio Gibson did last year, toward the end of the season. And I love Javonte Williams. I love his talent. I mean, I feel like I said this 4 times at least, but Jeff and I, we're big dynasty guys. And Javonte Williams' talent is there. 4,000. I'm going to jump on it before the field jumps on it. And I have him projected for almost 13.
I think we lost Gerson again.
I just want to let you know, Jeff, I looked it up. That sick call game was 4 years ago now.
Wow, that's insane. That's crazy.
September 24th of 17. So there you go. We've been doing this show for 4 years since the original sick call.
That is crazy. It doesn't feel like it's been that long, man. 4 years. That's crazy.
I looked it up. Yeah, Cam Newton threw 3 picks in that game. So hopefully we get Gerson back here But yeah, man, 4 years of greatness, and we're gonna win all the money this year.
Good stuff. All right, so my sit call, I always pick a receiver. Not always, but a lot of times I pick a receiver that can pay off really in one play. I think last year I hit on Jalen Guyton. It was in the fourth quarter, like 2 minutes to go. He caught like an 80-yard bomb, paid off on that one play. So my guy this week is also a guy like that, Mr. Quez Watkins for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's playing that sort of Deshaun Jackson type role where he's just a big play receiver. We saw in the preseason he caught like a 78-yard. Well, actually, he caught a 1-yard pass and then took it 78 yards to the end zone. So I think
we knew you'd play a preseason guy, Jeff.
Yes.
It was guaranteed your sit call was going to be a preseason guy.
Yep, exactly. And at 3K opens up so much of your roster. I do think that Quez Watkins, one play, you give him one 80-yard touchdown play, he's already smashed his value. So I love Quez Watkins as my sit call this week. Did we get Gerson back yet?
Nope.
Gerson is not back yet.
Sorry, guys. Jason was calling me because he wants his fucking bottles. He wants his fucking bottles. Apparently, there's girls down at the pool swimming, and they want to take shots. So,
there you go.
Much love to everybody. Much love to the Going for Two show. Much love to the Armchair Daily Fantasy show. You guys know I love you guys. But, hey, man, he just told me there's girls at the pool. I got to go take shots.
All right.
Him.
Hey, we understand.
He actually believes that I can take 3 bottles. Let's hope I don't smash like 2 of them at least. But, God damn it, we're back. We are back.
Good stuff, man. Go have some fun,
Have a good
Gerson.
night, G.
Peace out.
All right, let's sign off here, Tim. Give the listeners where they can follow you at.
Yeah, man. The best place to get is in the DFS Roundtable / the Fantasy G Podcast Facebook group. That's where we're going to post all of our updates. You can get on the show there. We definitely have a great Facebook Messenger group you want to get into as well. And then on Twitter, I'm at KetoDFS. That's KetoDFS.
All right, good stuff. And, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. If you haven't signed up for the DFS tournament, do so. It's goingfor2.com/grinder21. All right, for Tim, for Gerson, who's just went to the pool with all the girls in Las Vegas, I'm Jeff. Good luck this weekend, and we'll see y'all next week.
Putting all my money on them. Go, Pack, go!
There it is. 4 years of that.